Hello, this is Max Bennett with OSU Forestry and Natural Resources Extension. I'll be your presenter for the Living in a Fire Environment module. This module covers several important topics such as fire suppression practices, evacuation, rules and regulations, and others that are important for you to know both as a homeowner and a CFA volunteer. Let's start by looking at the current situation with wildfire risk in Oregon and in the western United States as a whole. As we discussed in the Fire Science module, wildfires have occurred in Oregon for thousands of years, ignited by both lightning and Native Americans who used fire as a management tool. In the Fire Science module, you also learned that historically, not all fires were the same. Some burn much hotter than others, and some forests burn more frequently, but the fires were less intense. So ponderosa pine and dry mixed conifer forests, for example, tended to burn fairly frequently, but at relatively low intensity, since fuels didn't have much of a chance to build up. In contrast, wetter coastal forests burned a lot less frequently, but when they did burn, the severity was high. According to the Oregon Forest Resources Institute, 40% of Oregon's forest land is currently at risk of high severity fire. These are areas designated as Class 3 on the map. A lot of the Class 3 forest is in southwest, central, and eastern Oregon, areas that experience fires of low to moderate severity historically, but now increasingly experience large, high-severity fires. There are a number of reasons for this high level of risk, which we will explore a bit later in this presentation. Populated areas in relation to high-risk areas are shown on this map. Southwest and Central Oregon have the most communities at high risk, as you might expect, but moderate to high risk areas are spread all over the state, and few, if any, areas in Oregon are risk-free. For example, some communities in Northwest Oregon face medium to high fire risks, and coastal areas can experience high severity fire as well. When we look at trends nationally in the acreage burned by wildfire, there is a lot of variation from year to year, but the overall trend is clear. It's going up. For example, from 1980 to 2000, the total acreage burned exceeded 6 million acres only once, in 1996. From 2000 through 2015, the total acreage burned exceeded 6 million acres in 9 of the 15 years. Not only are we seeing more acres burned every year, but the overall intensity and severity of fire are increasing. Here are some interesting statistics from last summer's Valley Fire. A major reason for increases in fire intensity and acreage burned is the unprecedented buildup of fuel. This is primarily due to overgrazing that removed grass and replaced it with brush, successful fire suppression over the last century or so, and selective logging of larger, more fire-resistant trees. These factors all contributed to the buildup of fuels that could carry fire up into the canopy. Forests that benefited historically from frequent surface fires are now vulnerable to crown fires that can kill entire stands. Climate change in the form of frequent droughts and increasing temperatures is accentuating the problem. Another key factor in the fire risk equation is the rapid growth of the number of homes and other development in the so-called wildland-urban interface. Not only are these homes at increasing risk of wildfire, but they themselves can serve as fuel in a wildfire. The wildland-urban interface has several definitions, but in general consists of the area between urban growth boundaries and remote wild areas where there are no dwellings. The upward trend in the acreage burn and severity of fire, as well as increased development in the WUI, poses threats to many values, such as watersheds, homes and lives, threatened and endangered species, timber and other resources, and wilderness and special places. In 2000, for example, 80% of the Mill Creek wilderness burned in the Ochoco National Forest, and in the giant 2002 Biscuit Fire, about 1/3 of the spotted owl habitat burned. What is the situation in your area? Take a look at a regional or local wildfire risk map and consider the questions listed here.